world where equality is just another euphemism for mediocrity, where participation is more highly valued than achievement, where just enough to get by is the new standard of excellence. There is a small minority of people who fight back against such apathy, who struggle daily to reach new heights. These brave few are the hope for the future, the bright shining light for the next generation. They are the ones who will lead us to the places we have never dreamed of, to the undiscovered country, to reach goals only a few can even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, none of those people could be here tonight, so kick back and relax. Prepare yourself for several hours of fun, friendship, fascinating conversation, and fabulous music. Although that's such an alliteration and kind of a radio trick. Speaking of radio, you're listening to the most popular radio station in the history of broadcast radio, at least among stations that originate from Chris's living room. It's Curious Times. Your host is a curious listener. Here she is, Chris.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Curious Times. It's Tuesday, August 9th, and we have Melissa Bruce here. I love the second Tuesday of every month. I really do. Melissa is an excellent guest to have on. She's like totally down to earth, and knows her stuff inside out. So it's always a good show, and I have a much more because nobody really gets, you do a show every day like this, and so you got either nobody coming or you have somebody coming, and then you, depending on who the somebody is or whatever, you have like, oh, I wonder what we're going to talk about or what, blah, 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 and you get all like, and like I'm kind of chill on a Tuesday. I don't think much about the show at all until showtime, and so there you go. So Melissa, of course, is an astrologer. She's also a medium, a tarot reader, intuitive, of course, and she has literally helped so many people change their lives. She also helps people with like life coaching, and that internal work that needs to happen as well. And so she's the heavy metal psychic, and you can find her at heavymetalpsychic.com. And I don't even need the voice changer for that one. And facebook.com/heavymetalpsychic. And I don't know why I feel a need. It's so stupid and ridiculous that I do that, but I do that. And of course, on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Melissa has her own darn show at paramaniaradio.com. And what's going on with you? And so here comes Melissa, the heavy metal psychic. Hey, how's it going, woman?
You can't say, it's the heavy metal psychic. It just doesn't go, right?
I know, right? I know, but I don't know why I feel a little, but I can't, like, it's something that just takes over. Like, I can't even not do the heavy metal psychic.
It's brutal. Metal is brutal. It's a very brutal energy. It's like Sagittarius energy, right? It's constantly moving. It's a little bit aggressive, and you have to put that edge to it. Otherwise, it just sounds weird. Weird. Glam rock.
What's going on with you these days? How are you?
Really busy. I'm straight up into my busy season, and I just did a booth at Metal in the Mountains. Speaking of metal, up in Dunsmuir, California, which is like it's almost at the top of Mount Shasta, and it's just beautiful up there. It's the biggest they've done yet. It's the biggest they've done yet, and they have this metal festival, in a park. And it's just this big green area that's completely surrounded by trees and some really pretty flowers that grow up there. It's right next to the river. It's all ages and it's free, so the kids can come. And it's a absolutely great atmosphere. If you actually would think, and you don't know metalheads very well, if you think about a show with a bunch of metalheads, you think it's going to be brutal and it's going to be violent, and it's nothing bad goes down ever. The kids are running around, and there's this little, absolutely adorable little blonde girl with these little curly pigtails wearing a T-shirt, the black T-shirt that says Systematic Failure on it. She's like 2 years old, running around with a T-shirt and a diaper. And she was literally running all over the place. And, personally, if it was me, I wouldn't be letting my kid do that. But she was perfectly safe, because somebody would see her. Obviously, you can identify her with her shirt. They would take her back to her tent, and then she'd get away from them again, and then somebody would take her back to her tent. It's just, it's great fun. And this is the third year that AOD has played it, and this is the second year that I've actually had a booth there. So that was
awesome.
A lot of fun. And then I have a psychic party to do this weekend, and then we have X-Fest in Stockton the weekend after that. So again, my husband's playing, and AOD and Heavy Metal Psychic are going to share a booth for this particular festival. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works because, we might get in each other's space a little bit, but this one's an even bigger festival, and it's 20 different stages. It's all genres of music.
Wow.
Obviously, we'll be at the metal stage, and for anybody that does know heavy metal music, Suicidal Tendencies is headlining one of the stages, and that's a big band. So it's another band that AOD can add to their resume of bands that they've played with that are fairly well known. So it's really cool. We are hustling this month. And then hopefully we're going to take a little bitty mini break next month, and then we're going to be hustling again in October, and then we might actually be able to breathe for 2 months after that.
Oh,
so
good. Oh, good. Well, you can't mention Mount Shasta. And this clip came as a commentary. This clip came as a commentary I was making, a rant I was doing one day about somebody that I even think that you knew back in the day. I'm not mentioning any names, but their initials are no. When I say their initials are, usually I say their whole name. But I'm not.
You almost made me spit the coffee out, which would have been really entertaining for the show. But
so I gotta play it because you said Mount Shasta. You said that the trigger words Mount Shasta calls you. You don't call it, but then there's so many people that are phony about that too, in my opinion. Oh, Mount Shasta calling. You're the most poisonous bitch I've ever met on the face of the earth, and Mount Shasta's calling you? What? Mount Shasta's not calling you. This is one of these highly vibrating light workers, that is always, Mount Shasta's calling me. No, Mount Shasta's
well, then answer the phone, okay?
Yeah. Go.
And leave the rest of us out of it.
Jump into it, you know what I mean? And so anyway, a mountain of soda, ha ha ha.
It's absolutely beautiful out there. There's some great energy, but I am going to tell you what, I'm a city girl, and I was born in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I spent most of my childhood growing up in either the San Francisco Bay Area or Hollywood, LA, Southern California. So going up to the top of the mountain like that, and we didn't do, my husband's band actually did the after party, which wasn't at the park. It was at another place that had a stage about this big, no joke. There's 5 guys in the band. They all have to stand on something that's about as big as this. And I was hungry, and I'm like, let's just hit up a Taco Bell or a Jack in the Box really quick. I know that food isn't good, but when you're on the road and you're pressed for time, you just got to get what you can get. This is our life, and this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
They don't have those things up there. You get to Redding, and then all of a sudden, they've never heard of Jack in the Box. They've never heard of McDonald's. They've never heard of any of that stuff. So I had to stop at a Chinese food place that was, and I'm not racist, okay? I'm not racist. But I stopped at this Chinese food place, and there was nothing but white people in there, and I thought, how the hell are these white people going to make no Chinese food? I'm sorry. It was crap. It also took them, okay,
well,
we
they
just
always
ordered.
say, like, you want to go to a Chinese food place that has a lot of Chinese food people as customers. That will tell you how good the Chinese food
You're
is.
talking about the top of the mountain. There's nobody but white people up there. That's the whole point. So, and then it took them a half an hour.
Yeah.
A half an hour to make that crappy chow mein that we ate because we just needed something to shovel in before we had to go and do what we had to do. But it was really cool. There was a really kick-ass lightning storm that was taking place up there that night when we were doing the after party. So that part was cool. I mean, there's always every trip and every time we have to go out and do this, there's really cool stuff about it. There's annoyances about it. You take the good with the bad and the bad with the good and shit on the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
All you can do.
So listen, and we won't do it like this time, but one of these times I have an idea, which is to say that I recently bought a professional numerology software package. And
Cool.
yeah, and so anyway, I do. And if you've never had your full your numerology, a full numerology report, just hit me up in Skype and I'll send you one. Just give me just give me your birth certificate, name, and birth date, and the one that you came into. In other words, if you've got a new
the one you were born.
Yeah, your birthday.
Yeah.
First to the last, and your it's okay, you can smoke.
I know, I almost lit the wrong end.
Oh, I hate when, I remember this. Oh, man, that used to bug the shit out of me.
That was almost really bad.
There's nothing worse in the world than that, except the equivalent is one of these electronic cigarettes. If it goes dry, then you get like this burnt and the smoke full of burnt.
Yes.
Burnt. Anyway, so what I was thinking of doing just for fun one day, and is like we could take somebody who we know their birth information for, because in astrology you need to know a little bit more. See, for numerology, if I have numerology and the Ascended Master Google, I can find, usually some of the famous people's, full names and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like they say, they were born such and such a person on such and such a day, and I don't need to know what time they were born or specifically where they were born. And but we need to know that information, for mostly for astrology. I know that you can guess their time or intuit their time. So I kind of thought one of these days we'll pick somebody that we both agree on or whatever, and each of us run their info. And
that would be really cool.
See how closely numerology and astrology line up in the characteristics of the person or this or that. You know what I mean? And,
absolutely, yeah. That would be really cool.
That'd give us something to do, And
right.
So what aspect of astrology do we want to talk about today? Like last time we talked about like the Lilith moon and that kind of thing. And is there people talk about, what do you got?
What could be fun? This is just coming into my head right now as we speak. I'm getting a message right now. Do you hear that? Incoming, yes, incoming. The rising sign actually is actually one of the most important aspects of the chart, and a lot of people don't know what their rising sign is. It is important to have a birth time, but of course, a lot of people don't have their birth time, and so I'll ask Spirit for a time, and then I use that time. But the rising sign is really a lot of people talk about their sun sign, because we all know what our sun sign is. And I'm an Aquarius, and because I'm an Aquarius, I'm this, and this. But, and I am an Aquarius, by the way. But I don't have an Aquarius rising. And one of the traits that I have as an Aquarius that is not typical to Aquarians is, I am a mothering or maternal person most of the time. I say most of the time because sometimes I get sick of it. But, that's not a typical Aquarius trait. When I ran my chart, I found out that I had a Cancer rising. Cancer is the mother of the signs, and so therefore that kind of sort of brings in another element of what makes up me. So a lot of times people will say to me, and I've had this happen a lot, they say that I'm a Sagittarius, but I don't feel like a Sagittarius. They say I'm a Virgo, but I don't feel like a Virgo. And I'll look up their rising sign, and as it turns out, they actually have more traits of their rising sign than they do of their foundation sign, which is the sun sign. And really, in the chart, the rising sign is the face that you show to the world. So I may have the traits of an Aquarian, but what people see about me are Cancer traits, more so than they see the Aquarian traits or even the moon traits. So we could talk about that, and we could, maybe look up some rising signs today for anybody that doesn't know their rising signs.
I can't remember. Would mine be the same if I was born, because remember I used to always say I was born in the afternoon, and then I found out I was born at 2:25 a.m., not 2:25 p.m.?
It would be different. Yeah, it would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Actually,
know.
your whole chart would be flipped upside down in that case.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if I really even know. And even when I did think I knew, I didn't remember anyway. I really don't remember what I had a reading that Linda Crystal did for me, and up until recently when I was trying to clean up, I had it like sitting right here to refer to, and now I can't find it. So I think she had all my info there too. But anyway, I don't remember mine. I don't know why I want to say Scorpio or something like that, but I don't think so.
I know I have the original chart here that we did for you, but if it's a different time, then we'd have to run another one. But I can do that.
I don't know what time. I don't know if you did run a new one for me or not.
I don't think I did.
Just check. Well, open one up that you have and see, because the time will be on there, right?
No, when I actually save the picture of the chart, I don't actually save all that information with it. If I do a written birth chart, then yes, all the information is on that. But I didn't do that for you, so.
Let's do other people's anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna open it up here so we can do some. And Christy, if you don't know your time of birth, all you need to do is just send in the information that you do have, the date and the place of birth, and then I'll ask Spirit to give me a time, and we'll just go with that one. Most of the time, it works out pretty well.
If you know how to private message, you guys click on in the chat area right above the chat. There's two tabs, and one says public and one says options. If you click on options and then you click on Melissa's name, that puts you into a private chat window with Melissa. And it's just as easy for you to just direct send the info to her, then send it to me, and me send it to her. You know what I mean? So, and then Melissa, you're looking for orange tabs, like as people start to send you, it'll flash, it'll show orange in their name. Whoever's writing to you, their name will show up. So you'll have more than two tabs over in your chat. Better you than me.
I'm already seeing it right now. And I do want to say for the date, I don't think we have anybody in here that's in Europe. It's kind of late for Europe, but just in case, one of the things that I have run into working with people all over the world is that we switch our dates. So over there on the other side of the pond, they put the month, we put the month, day, and year. They put the day, month, and year. So if you could just let me know if it's difficult to read. Of course, the one that I'm looking at right now for you, Christy, is not difficult at all.
Right.
But some of them, it's hard to tell. So if you could give me the month, day, and year.
How about don't be so damn lazy and just type out the month, and then there'll be no question.
You can do that too. It doesn't matter either way, but it's confusing. When I first started, I didn't know that it was different over there. Yeah. I didn't know a lot of things were different over there. So now I do.
There is a lot of things very different over there.
There's a lot, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so I'm going to bring up Christy's chart right now here real quick, and while I'm doing that, Michigan.
So what does the rising sign tell us about ourselves?
The rising sign is basically the face that we show to the world. So when you're talking about your sun sign, most people say that people see the sun sign traits, but you see some of those traits. What you really see is the rising sign. This is how people project themselves out into the world. So somebody else that comes up to me to meet me for the first time, they're not necessarily going to see my Aquarian traits. They're going to see my Cancer traits, because that's what I want people to see. The Aquarian traits are basically sort of foundational traits. They're the traits that we use personally to get through what we need to get through, but they're not necessarily what we project out to others. Christy, I'm going to give you 6 a.m. That's the time that's coming to me. So if you want to maybe write, if this works for you, if you want to write that down, because then we can use it again for future charts. And then they'll always be the same, just in case. So I'm taking a look at Christy's chart here, and I already know, this is not the same Christy. Sorry. I'm thinking of a different Christy, but now I know you're not that one, so that's okay.
Who are you? Who
Okay, so we've got a Capricorn sun, and then, of course, we've got a Sagittarius rising. So, Christy, if this is the correct birth time for you, it would indicate you have a Sagittarius rising rather than, so you would show more Sagittarian traits rather than Capricorn traits. Now, what's really funny and how these two mix together is really good, because a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn foundation is really organized and, gets things done really good with the money, by the way. I don't know if you are in the finance world, but it's definitely would be a good thing for you. And your sun is in your rising sign, even though it's in Capricorn, it is in the actual rising sign. So it tells me that you are good at being you. Okay, good at economics, I would say the same thing. Okay, but we'll just say it's the same thing, because you understand those things. Capricorns are really good at that. They're also really good at organizing things, taking care of people. When it comes to children, you put a lot of effort and a lot of time into making sure that children are cared for and that people who can't take care of themselves are cared for. Capricorns are known for saying, I have to be the voice for children because they don't have their own voice, kind of a thing. Somebody's got to stand up for them. Adults who have problems like that, or difficulties like, childish difficulties, you don't really have a lot of time for, because really, ultimately, they should be able to take care of themselves. Now, you also bring Sagittarius into that rising sign, as well as Venus, which is in your rising sign, and also Mercury, which is retrograde in your rising sign. And you've got a lot of stuff going on in your rising sign there. I will say that with that retrograde Mercury, you don't speak out very much, which is very anti-Sagittarian of you, by the way. Sagittarians are known for not being able to shut up. Especially if they really, really, really have something to say. You hold back a lot. Where there is a problem with that is you hold back on things that really bother you and you hold on to them. And then eventually they explode. I mean, literally there's this huge explosion and then it makes you feel bad and then you have to make it up and blah, blah, blah. Probably a pattern that you would want to, avoid, or maybe stop. If something bothers you about what somebody's doing, rather than holding on to it, just let them know. I mean, 9 times out of 10, people will just understand that they're doing this and then stop doing it. And we as human beings make it a bigger problem than it has to be. And then Venus also, I mean, you just pour love out to everybody that you see. You're very creative. You're very talented. You have a lot of, you love to see beauty around you. You like to see things organized and neat and pretty around you. You do not like it when somebody comes in and messes up your stuff. It makes you very angry. But you're also, I see a lot of things like crafting, sewing, coming up, with a lot of different things that, and even making things for other people that they may need. I would have to say, between your sun and your rising sign, you've got a really good combination of organization. You've got a really good combination of, being driven, being very goal-oriented, and having a tremendous amount of energy to achieve those goals. The only thing that I would say is that when you get too focused on something, you do burn yourself out because you don't give yourself breaks from it, and that's why you quote-unquote fail at those things. So just remember, next time you have something on your mind, you have a goal, something that you want to achieve, give yourself the time, put the work into it, but also give yourself the time to step away from it, take a break from it, let your brain rest for a bit, and then go back to it. And I'm also being told by this lovely lady in spirit to stop worrying about wasting time, because you have plenty of time. So you're not going to run out of time anytime soon. So I hope that resonates with you, Chrissy. And if you have any questions, feel free to toss them in the chat room real quick. And while you do that, I'm going to bring up Marie's birth chart, and we're going to take a look at Marie's rising sign. And Marie just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Marie. My best friend is that same day. He just turned 41 on August 2nd.
I found out I have a Libra rising.
You have a Libra rising.
Don't need you to comment on it. Just letting you know I found it. We got a few Libras. We got a few Libras in the room. Libra rising signs. See, that's how come we all came together. You know.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I don't have a Libra rising sign, but I'm married to a Libra, so maybe, I don't know if that counts or not.
Bad moon rising. I should have been that smart. I have a bad moon rising. Oh, Christy, good job.
Okay. All right. Okay, perfect. So I got Marie's up now. And we've got a Leo sun. Obviously, it's Leo time right now. We're still in the King's time, so to speak. But you've got a Taurus rising sign, and you don't have any planets that are actually in the rising sign, so there's no planetary influence in the rising sign. It's basically just the sign. When you put the sun sign of Leo, which is also a very family-oriented sign, Leos put a lot of energy into their family, but they're also very I would say very doting on their family. A lot of Leo, especially Leo female parents, I'm not saying this is you per se, but a lot of Leo female parents that I've known over the years are extremely indulgent with their children, which means these children can be spoiled brats sometimes. I've met a few of them. So you do want to avoid that, too much overindulgence. But it's not just with children. You do this with everybody. I mean, you would give anybody that absolutely anything if you possibly could. With a Taurus ascendant, it kind of sort of shows us why, to a certain extent, because Taurus is a very loving, very giving sign. Also, give me a second. Loud car. Okay. Also, if you look at the zodiac, it begins in Aries and it ends in Pisces, which means that every single sign goes through a specific part of life. Taurus's part of life is the toddler years, meaning 2 to 5 years old. And so a lot of Tauruses will take on, in some way, those toddler traits. My dad's probably the best example of this because when it comes down to, if you tell him to do something, he'll just go, no, I don't want to. Or if you tell him no, he gets very, pouty, like a little kid, you just told me no. And then he kind of sulks. And I'm not saying that you do this necessarily, but Taurus has a certain amount of stubbornness in it. So when you combine these two signs, you've got Earth, which is very driven and very organized and likes to get things done. You've got Leo, which is a fire sign, which has a lot of energy behind it. So in terms of getting things done, you put a lot of energy into what you do. And you also are the person that when it comes down to it, if there's a problem, chances are they're going to come to you, because with that Taurus rising sign, you will have it all figured out. You'll have it very organized. You can organize it very calmly. You can even show people where to go or how to do things, all of these different things. And in some cases, some people have overused that to a certain extent, although you've learned not to put as much out there as you have in the past. The other thing that's coming up very strongly around your Taurus rising is the fact that you know what you want. And knowing what you want, people see that you know what you want. If you say, I'm going to build a skyscraper that goes all the way up to where the atmosphere almost changes into outer space, and people are going to look at you and go, that's just ridiculous. You can't have a skyscraper that tall. What they're going to see is you with all of your tools underneath your arms ready to build this skyscraper, regardless of whether you have help to do it or not. It is a determination to do what you're pulled to do, or whatever it is that you want to do. Now, that's a good thing as long as you're not determined to do something specifically because somebody said no, you can't do it. So I hope that makes sense. And the last thing that's really popping up for you is with this with your Taurus rising sign is, again, family. Family is everything. not just your children, family, huge family, and not just the people that were born blood family, but you have several people that you've known your whole life that are family, really close friends that are family. Some of them are really far away, and that can be very painful for you because you don't get to see them or you don't get to talk to them as often. I'm seeing one or two people specifically that it's been a really long time, and they're very much on your mind a lot. Pick up the phone and call. Don't be stubborn about, I'm going to wait for them to call me because, you're going to wait forever. And it's not because they're too lazy to call you. It's just because they don't realize that that's how you feel. So, you don't want to be stubborn. They're going to be stubborn. So you be the bigger person. Just pick up the phone and call. Say something. Take a vacation. Go visit, et cetera, et cetera. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them there in the chat room, and I will get to them right before I get to the next chart. So I hope that resonates with you. Go ahead.
I have an idea. For everybody who's not, you gave us a website last time where people could go look up their own chart, right?
Yes.
So if everybody who knows their info, including their time, they can go look up their own rising sign that way and just tell you what their rising sign is. And then you can deal with the people that don't know their times. I don't know
we could do that. However, this particular rising sign was pretty easy because there's no planet influence. With Christie's, there was 3 planets in the rising sign.
I don't mean for them to see what that site says about their rising sign, just to identify what their rising sign is.
Right. Well, I just put the link there in the chat room, but if you don't mind, I'm going to bring it up also. Because if there are planets in there, then I'd like to look at that also. Because they all tell a piece of the story. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. That shows you how much I don't know about astrology.
Well, yeah, it's okay. So I'm moving on to Popeye's. Your sister is an astrologer. Awesome. We're going to take a look and see. I'm sure that your sister is correct, but we're going to take a look and see anyways and see what we can see here. And I'm just going to bring this up real quick. And I know this does take a little bit of time, but we've got 2 hours.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we have
an hour and 40 minutes now. God, 40 minutes have already gone by.
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign.
I just hate stupid people.
We'll play that one on our break.
Hell yes. I love the whole thing, the whole blue collar comedy, everything. Of course, we are also rednecks ourselves, so.
Oh,
or at least
just watched the video. That's funny. You can't mention a song to me over here or say a word in a song without me finding the song and playing it to interrupt everybody, Anyway.
Just 'cause. Okay, so Popeye, your sister was right, and I'm using Western astrology also. I'm not familiar with a lot of any other astrology other than a little bit of Chinese astrology because I've dabbled a little bit here and there. But your sister was absolutely correct. You have a Scorpio sun with a Libra ascendant and a Capricorn moon. So she's absolutely right about that. You also have on the cusp of the first and second house, which technically it would influence the rising sign, Neptune in that sign, and it's in Scorpio. Now, Neptune in Scorpio tells me that you are a highly gifted and very sensitive individual. And it being influencing your rising sign tells me that this is a part of you. It's not just something that's a part of you that you hide. People see this about you. So I would say that you are maybe not known all over the world for your intuition and your abilities, but the people around you do know how gifted you are. I mean, it's not something that you hide from people around you. Because it's also cusping that second house, it tells me that these abilities started in childhood. So you had them your whole life. And it's not necessarily something that's been, maybe there are certain aspects of it that might have been difficult for you, but for the most part, it's just something that you've that you've always had. And like myself, I've just always seen spirit, and it's just, like they're any other people. It's no big deal. When I talk about the intuitive gifts, that's, I'm talking about mediumship, I'm talking about psychic abilities, I'm talking about empathy, et cetera, et cetera. With a Libra rising sign, balance is required. I mean, you have to have balance. And because you have a Scorpio sun and you have a Capricorn moon, that right there sort of indicates the need for balance, because a Capricorn moons keep their emotions hidden, and Scorpios are a very emotional sign. So it's kind of out of balance, because one wants to do something and the other wants to do something else. So the Libra kind of smooths that out and balances it out, helps you to be able to use both your logic and emotion at the same time when it comes to making decisions, unless it's an overly emotional situation, in which case it'll probably be so emotional that you get lost in it, if that makes sense. And that is most definitely a Libra trait. Libras are really, really good. I mean, they're air element signs, and air elements are very intellectual. The problem with Libra is that it's intellectual, ruled by an emotional planet, which is Venus. And that indicates a little bit of an imbalance right off the bat. Also, I don't want to ignore the Libra martyrdom syndrome, I like to call it. And that's where you sacrifice yourself on the behalf of everybody else. My husband is a perfect example of this. We'll make tons and tons of food, have all of these people over to come eat it, and he says, no, everybody eat before me. I want everybody else to eat. And then he goes in, and he comes back and goes, there's no food left for me, because you didn't go in and eat. So, and then we all get to hear about how he didn't get to eat. So you want to really take care of yourself. Libras are horrible about taking care of themselves. It's like they feel like they have to take care of everybody else first. They have to sacrifice themselves for everybody else. And it really is just not necessary at all. So maybe work on that. Spend a little bit more time taking care of you, especially with the Scorpio sun. The Scorpio sun is also saying, I don't deserve to be taken care of. These two things are counting against you. You want to kind of sort of counteract those things by changing them, by even if you spend 10 minutes a day just doing something that you want to do. And if somebody comes in and says, hey, can you do this? You say, no, I will 15 minutes from then, but right at this particular moment, I'm busy. You don't want to say, oh, I'll put my 10 minutes off later, because you're never going to get it. Don't even bother with that. It's just not going to happen. And the last thing that I'm really being shown for you is when it comes to things that emotional things are difficult. I have to say, emotional things are really difficult. When things get overly emotional for you, it's very difficult for you to be able to make a decision or to deal with any aspect of that. What you want to do with that is, there's two things. One, you got to speak up. When something's bothering you, speak up. When somebody's doing something, speak up. I know another wonderful Libra lady. I think she's the most fantastic person in the world. But everything that everybody does to piss her off, she tells everybody else. Never the person that pissed her off. You want to avoid doing that. And you don't have to be rude. Just say, you know what, this is bothering me, and I don't like it, and I'm sure I'm doing something that's bothering you, so let's make an exchange. And you can fix what I'm doing or what you're doing that's bothering me, and vice versa. That way, you're not saying this is all your fault. You're actually putting a trade out there. Really worked for my Libra husband, by the way. This is how we were able to work out a lot of differences in our relationship. So you want to do that. You want to, be open and come out and actually say something. Don't hold it inside. The longer you hold it inside, the bigger the explosion is going to be later. And Libras have a temper, let me tell you. I mean, when things don't go their way, they have a huge temper. So you want to make sure that you don't have too much stuffed in there. Otherwise, it's going to be a big, big, big explosion. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them there in the chat room while I get to the next chart. No, you don't have to be, I'm sorry. You don't have to be calm about it. Everybody has the right to feel the way that they feel. What I am saying, though, is that you let it out, you deal with it at the time, and then you let it go. What the problem is, and Libras have a very, Scorpios and Libras both are very bad about this. They'll hold on to that damn grudge forever. Well, Libras will go either way with it. Scorpios will hold on to that grudge forever. You deal with the situation and then you let it go. You accept the parts of it that you have to accept, and it doesn't mean that you have to stick around in that relationship. Just have your blow up, have your pity party if you want to have a pity party, whatever it is. The emotion, there's a reason why you're feeling that emotion. So have your blow up and then move on from there. What you don't want to do is let the blow up or the problem take over your whole life. Okay, I'm sorry, Chris.
I was just going to say, Christy, is that you on the phone, cell phone, Michigan? Is that you? Okay. Did you leave you, or did you want to say something? Struggling with your computer. Okay. Sorry about that. Very good. Okay, sorry, Melissa, go ahead. Who do you got next?
I've got Renee Richards, and I'm
awesome.
sitting here bringing up your chart, Renee Richards, born in Castro Valley, California. I was born in San Leandro, California, which is probably next door. So that's first time outside of my family working with people all over the world that was actually born basically damn near in the same town that I was. Castro Valley, California. Right? My dad lives there right now. He's always lived there.
See, that's why the both of you are just so down to damn earth, you know what I mean? Renee's another one that's really just, it's very low key, just like does what she does, and she's a little bit of a biker chick too, you know.
Well, it is. It's the Bay Area. I mean, you know, we got bikers, we got hippies, honey, we got anything you want, okay? You want it, we got it. All right, Renee, I'm bringing your chart right now. Lots of Capricorn moons in here, man. I got a Capricorn moon, too. Again, it's all the glue that brings us all together, right? But yes, we got a Capricorn moon with a Libra sun and a Scorpio ascendant. So that's kind of opposite what we just had, as a matter of fact, because we had a Scorpio sun and a Libra ascendant. Now, Renee, you have a lot of planets hidden in your hidden house, and I don't really want to get too much into that, but one of those planets, I just want to say that one of those planets that's hidden is Neptune. Now, I know you're gifted. I know how gifted you are, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there are certain things that you hold back. And you don't show people. You will give a little tiny bit, but you won't give everything. And part of that is because you have this sort of fear on the inside of you that says that if I give too much away, it's going to scare people. You got to stop doing that. Being that you have a Scorpio ascendant, everybody has a hidden house, okay? So she's not the only one. Everybody's got a house of secrets. And by looking at your chart, I can tell kind of what your secrets are. You guys are in trouble. With a Scorpio rising sign, Scorpio is the intuitive sign. I mean, Scorpios are highly intuitive, especially Scorpio females. Every Scorpio female I've ever known, they can spot evil within 3 seconds of it walking through that door. Or they can spot good energy within 3 seconds of walking through that door. You use that very well, and I know that you do, and you don't second guess it. But there's also a lot, you've got a lot more hidden inside of you that you need to let out. But what I'm being shown is that as you're looking at all of this inside of you that needs to come out, that you need to unleash on the world, basically, it's like you're terrified that you're going to put your hands up and you're going to release all of it and it's just going to destroy everything. It's not going to. Okay, and I just want to say it is coming. It's not just coming, it's there. You just got to open the door and let it all fly out. And trust me, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. And it won't overtake your life. like you think it will. Okay, I also want to point that out as well. Scorpio rising signs, what people see of you is not just your intuition. So whether you hide it or not is irrelevant. I'm actually being shown times when your younger life where you tried to hide all of your abilities, and there was a lot of people that you met that called bullshit on that because they could see right through it. And I guess that'll learn you, or that'll teach you not to hide it, because, the right people are going to see it. And they kind of sort of, helped pull it out of you a little bit, or at least help pull you out of your shell. Scorpios have a strong shell, and they do that for a reason. It's protection. It's self-protection for yourself. So that's fine. Protect yourself. Obviously, you want to protect yourself in settings where, you don't want to be sucked dry by the energy, but don't overprotect yourself so much that people aren't seeing it. And I'm literally showing somebody sitting in a corner in the dark where nobody can see her, kind of a thing. You don't want to do that. It's time to get out of the shadows a little bit more and a little bit more. The other thing that's coming to me with this is, you've got a Libra sun, although it's 24 degrees. It's not quite on the cusp of Scorpio, but it is pretty close. And your ability to shine, which is also what the sun represents, is also in that hidden house. So I just want to say that there are, or the root of some of this is just, it's what we all go through. And I've been through it before many times too. Who am I? You're going to come out and you're going to compare yourself to people who have a name in this business. That when you hear the name Long Island Medium, everybody knows who you're talking about. You're comparing yourself to people like that. You are supposed to be a people like that, Renee. I just have to tell you this. All you have to do is accept that, and then you can go with it. And I just saw your eyes pop out almost out of your head when I said that. I know it terrifies the shit out of me too, just so that you know. But it is, to be honest with you, it is part of what you were put here for, what you're supposed to do. And it is scary. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared by the prospect too if I ever get there myself. But we weren't put here to do things that were comfortable for us. We were put here, and I say we because you and I are both in the same boat here. We were put here to make a difference. And nobody said that job was going to be easy. And we were given that job for a reason, because obviously we were capable of doing it. What we think about that is absolutely irrelevant. So I would say what I'm getting is every day, just get that toe outside of that comfort zone a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more but by the time you get to that point, you don't even know that you got to that point. So I hope that makes sense for you, Renee, and it's nice to meet a fellow Bay Arean also. And if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. I used to see a medium. She gained weight, so now I see a large. My mom actually said that calling ourselves mediums was not very nice to the smalls and the larges, but, that was her little joke about that.
Such a groaner, Popeye. I don't expect a much wittier joke from you than the standard. Well, at least you didn't say extra large, because that's what most people say. Anyway,
I'm bringing up another chart, but do you want to take a break really quick? Because I know we're getting to that time, or.
Yeah,
and then I'm going to do Dacastro.
Stan the Kestrel. Stan the man.
The Kestrel. Got it. Well, you're next.
Okay, so we're going to do Here's Your Sign.
I just hate stupid people. They should have to wear signs to just say, I'm stupid. That way you wouldn't rely on them, would you? You wouldn't ask them anything. You'd be like, excuse me. Oh, never mind. I didn't see your sign. It's like for my wife, I moved from Texas to California. Our house is full of boxes. There's a U-Haul truck in our driveway. My friend comes over and goes, hey, you moving? Nope. We just pack our stuff up once or twice a week. Just see how many boxes it takes. Here's your sign.
I can't take the picture. Why don't they understand? We're not dealing with the planet of apes. We're talking about the modern man. So you people with them Mississippi, cheesy, wicked, tiny mind. Here's your sign. Here's your sign.
Last time I was home, I was driving around. I had a flat tire. I pulled my truck in one of those side-of-the-road gas stations. The attendant walks out, looks at my truck, looks at me. I swear to God, he went, "Tire, go play it?" I couldn't resist it. I said, "Nope." No, I was driving around. Those other three just swelled right up on me. Here's your sign.
Why can't they get the picture? Why don't they understand? We're not dealing with the planet of apes. We're talking about the modern man. So you people with the Mississippi, cheesy, wicked, tiny mind. Here's your sign. Here's your sign.
I was watching one of those animal shows on Discovery Channel. There was a guy inventing a shark bite suit. There's only one way to test that. All right, Jimmy, got that shark suit on, looks good. They want you to jump in this pool of sharks. You tell them it hurts when they bite you. Well, all right. Hold my sign, I don't want to lose it.
Hold my sign.
Why can't they get the picture? Why don't they understand? We're not dealing with the planet of apes. We're talking about the modern man. So you people with the Mississippi, cheesy, wicked, tiny mind. People with them little bitty, teeny, weeny, tiny minds. Here's your sign.
We were trying to sell our car about a year ago. Guy came over the house, drove the car around about 45 minutes. We get back to the house, he gets out of the car, reaches down, and grabs the exhaust pipe. And goes, "Damn, that's hot." See?
Here's your sign.
If he'd been wearing a sign, I could have stopped it.
For you people with the Mississippi, cheesy, wicked, tiny mind. Here's your sign. Here's your sign.
All right, so there we go. We're back. I should have went for coffee, and I got all lost in here in La La Land. You know what I mean? I'll go for a coffee when Melissa gets the next person going here. So anyone that joined us since the beginning, hi Donald also, and Robert of Bite Radio Me fame, and New Zealand is represented here in the house. Now you're doing Stan next, and you've done Popeye, right? And so here, let me get you back. I do want to do a shout out though before we get going. So we've done Popeye, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so Stan the Man is going to be next. Stan is coming to be on the show later this month on the 23rd, you guys. So 2 Tuesdays from tonight. And so Stan the Man will come and do some animal totem medicine stuff. Make them medicine go down, medicine go down. And oh yes, the people that came late. I trust you have a note, a hall pass or something. Anyway, Melissa's just looking up everybody's rising sign, and so if you want to get in on the action, you can. If you see there in the chat area. Above the chat area, you should see 2 tabs, one that says public and one that says options. And if you click on the options, you can look and scroll and find Melissa's name in the list there. Click on that, and that will open a private message box, private message window with Melissa, and you can send her your birth date. That's month, day, year for the New Zealand person. Month, day, year. Okay, and your time of birth and your place of birth, and you can send that to Melissa privately, and she can look up your sun sign, and then she'll tell you whatever she can about that. Okay, and so if anyone needs help with that, let me know, and I will tell you to Google it for crying out. I'm kidding. I'll help you out with that. So hello, Boo Boo, and Christy Who, Stan DeCastro, Danielle, how are you? Deb in Calgary, Donna Black Fox in the house, and Diane in Canada. Heath is here, and Marie, and of course Melissa's our guest. Popeye is here, and Renee Richards, Robert Sharp, Tanya from New Zealand, and Sandy Wildflower Wind. So I trust you all understand the instructions that if you're interested in finding out about your sun sign, you can private message Melissa with your details. That way I don't need to know anything about you, private information about you, and make fun of your middle name or anything like that, because I wouldn't be able to resist. Oh, wait, you don't have to give I'm getting numerology and astrology mixed up. All you need is your birth date, birth place, birth time. Duh. See, I'm getting all confused. I should have no business running a show, really. Okay, Melissa, you're up, and I'm going to go get a coffee. So you're up with Stan.
Okay, Stan, are you ready? And you were right. You were born on a full moon. You're absolutely right about that. I can tell that in the chart also. Being born in a full moon means that the moon was in the sign that was opposite your sun sign. So you're a Leo sun with an Aquarius moon, and you have a Scorpio rising to boot on top of that. Now that's kind of a very complex group of signs coming up there, actually, because the first things first with a Aquarius moon, when it comes to anything emotional, you will avoid it as much as possible, because that's what Aquarius does with emotions. In fact, Aquarians, I always look at Aquarians like Mr. Spock, like Vulcans. It's if it's not logical, we're not going to talk about it, because if it's emotional, it's not worth our time talking about it. It doesn't mean that Aquarians don't get emotional, or anybody with an Aquarian moon doesn't get emotional. It just means that they avoid it and avoid it and avoid it until they can't avoid it anymore, and then it becomes a great big mess. So, with a Leo sun there and a Scorpio rising sign, what people see about you really is somebody that's got a very big heart. You would do anything, just about anything, for anybody. Of course, Scorpio rising also does mean intuition also, and a gifted person. But you don't necessarily come out and say, hey, everybody, I'm gifted. It's more of you know what people need before they need it, and you're willing to accommodate that for the most part for most people, especially the people that you love. The people that are closest to you are the most important people in the world. Everybody else is important, but not as important as this little group over here. You keep them very close to you. When they get away from you or they move away from you, it can be a very difficult thing for you, especially with Leo being such a family-oriented sign. I also want to put out there that your Sun and Saturn are in perfect conjunction with each other. So both 26 degrees, of course, in Leo. So, and that really revolves around your career. Not that I want to go too much into your career, but, you're a very hardworking person. When you, put your mind or you set your mind to do a task or to do a job or a project or anything like that, it's your responsibility to finish it, which is not necessarily a Leo trait, but for you, it is very much so. And that Scorpio rising really helps that, because not so much because you need praise and you need attention. I mean, Scorpio is kind of a needy sign, being a water sign, but you're not doing it because you need the praise from it. You're doing it because it's important. And Scorpios, when things are important, they follow through with them always. Unless, again, it gets into that emotional realm, in which case you'll follow through with it eventually when you don't have to deal with the emotional side of it. Or you're forced to deal with the emotional side of it, which sometimes does happen as well. It's very complex between these three signs, to be honest with you. They're not necessarily signs that work together, but you make them work together. My biggest advice is when it comes to the emotional or the feeling stuff, and I know that you're a guy, unless you're a female named Stan, which I highly doubt, but I know you're a guy, and emotional stuff for men is just not something. Men are normally logical and women are emotional. When it comes to the emotional stuff, you're just really not, being a guy, you don't want to deal with it. Being an individual, you don't want to deal with it. But I will say that the older that you've gotten over the years, the more you also understand the need to deal with these things and the need to show how you feel. I kind of sort of get that in your younger years, and I want to ask you if you went to war at some point when you were a younger man, because I do see that. And this is it. I really feel kind of sort of hardened you, or made you a harder person. But over the years, as you've gotten older, those sort of layers of that wall that have built up around you from that experience have kind of sort of flaked off as you've gone. And what people see now is actually somebody with a very kind heart. Children love you. Absolutely adore you, and I'm literally showing you sitting there with these kids just literally crawling all over you like you're a great big jungle gym, because you're just tons of fun. You'll get down and you'll play with them, and you'll do absolutely anything for them. There's a specific little girl that comes to mind around you that you would do absolutely anything for. She can get you to do anything, even if you don't want to do it. And the neighbor's child. Okay. So these are all, absolutely beautiful traits when it comes to care of other people. When it comes to taking care of people around you, you're going to be the first one up there to volunteer and do that. Not because you have to, but because it's the right thing to do. And the biggest thing about your Scorpio rising is mainly what people see of you as a very caring, very loving individual that literally wears their heart on their sleeve these days. Although you may not have been like that your whole life, that's definitely how you are now. And that's what I have for you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat room. And while you do that, I'm going to open up Four Winds chart.
That's Diane in Canada.
Hi, Diane in Canada.
The only Diane in Canada, right? Diane, Diane in Canada.
And an April Fool's baby to boot. I have to say that every April Fool's baby that I've met, and I've only met two so far, you would be the third one. Every April Fool's baby I've ever met is a very interesting person. There's just something about that day. They're Aries, yes, and they're very typically Aries, but there's something very individualized about everybody that I've met that has that particular birthday. Not sure exactly why, but I guess we don't need to know why. And that's big of me to say, being an Aquarius, by the way. We always want to know why.
Why?
Okay. All right, Diane. So we've got, let me see here. We've got a Leo rising. All right. We've got something other than Scorpio for once, which is nice. So obviously we know that you're an Aries sun. Also got a retrograde Mercury in that chart, by the way, which is very, very closely conjunct with that sun. And you've got a Leo rising. Now, one of the things, about the charts also, when you read the charts, is you look at the size of the house. Most of the houses and most of the charts that we've done so far have had a pretty good size rising sign, but yours is very, very small. It's I wouldn't say it's insignificant, but you don't feel that who you are is as significant as what you do. We'll put it that way. You don't put a lot of time and effort into building up who you are to other people. It's whatever they come up with is whatever they come up with, basically. And you're cool with it either way. If they don't like you, they don't like you. If they love you, they love you. But you're not here to put on any kind of a show for anybody or make anybody love you in any way by changing who you are. Your rising signs in Leo with Pluto, which is retrograde in that house. Having Pluto retrograde in your chart is not uncommon. In fact, half of people have a retrograde Pluto because it's retrograde basically 4 to 6 months out of the year. What that does mean, though, in the chart specifically for you is that sometimes making changes is not always easy for you, especially when it comes to personal changes within yourself. For instance, if you've wanted to, maybe make some changes in who you are in terms of what you want to do, or how you put yourself out there. Let's say you are very, you're like me, you like to wear black all the time, and you decide you want to change that, and you don't want to wear black all the time. You want to add some color into your life, and you put the color on, and then you go, you know what, this isn't comfortable, I'm going back to the black, kind of a thing. These are the changes that I'm talking about. They're specific changes to yourself. One of the things that you have to realize is that those particular things, don't worry about changing. You don't need to change them. They're there for a reason, and you are who you are for a reason. I actually learned that the reason why I wore black all the time was because it's a very protective color, and I didn't realize that when I was, wearing it or choosing to wear it a lot until much later. And then I didn't feel so bad about it, but it was more like maybe I should be like other people. Occasionally you get those thoughts in your head that maybe I should be more like other people, and then you kind of sort of toss them off, because the truth is you're not. It's just as simple as that.
And then you see someone else and you go, nah.
Yeah, no, and you don't, I mean, the truth is it doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't resonate with you to follow the crowd even. It's just not in your nature. Even though Leo and Aries are both very social signs, and of course having that double fire element in your sun and your rising, it's not in your moon because you've got a Cancer moon, so it's a water moon. It's sort of kind of the moon comes in to dampen the fire a little bit, or at least to bring that flame down just a little bit, so you don't burn yourself out, because you got so much fire, or so much strong fire in your chart. So you got a lot of energy. When it comes to what it is that you're doing, you put absolutely everything into it. When it comes to your career, this is where you shine. Anything that you do for a job, or anything that you do for a career, you're going to do very well. And you're going to do it very well, not because you know everything, but because you're willing to learn whatever it is that you need to learn in order to do that job. And you're going to put 150% into whatever it is that you're doing also. A tremendous amount of energy. I'm literally being shown somebody who never stops, or can't sit still, at all. And you've been like that since childhood, to be honest with you. It's just a part of you. It's like having a very high metabolism. You just can't, you always got this energy. I also do see at times that it can be very difficult for you to sleep because your brain is going 10,000 miles a minute. So doing some grounding and bubbling before you go to sleep would definitely be helpful in learning how to shut off your brain and get control over that brain, because it does have a mind of its own, so to speak. No pun intended, or pun intended if you want. You've got a Cancer moon there, and that Cancer moon kind of sort of, with the fire, on both sides there is an element of when things get emotional, you can get carried away with the emotion. You can let the emotion take you off, or let it take you down the river. You do want to be careful with that, because it can, I'm being shown that it can get to be a little bit much. Like you hold on to it a little bit too long, or a little bit too much. When people hurt you, even though you put out that you are who you are and accept me for who I am, or leave me alone, it still hurts you when people are rude to you, or mean to you, or unaccepting of who you are. I'm not saying don't let it get to you, because it's going to get to you. What I am saying is to look more and understand where it's coming from. It's not coming from you, it's coming from them. And most people who actually come up and would say something like that to somebody, they say it out of jealousy, more so than they say it out of spite for the person. So keep that in mind. They're words that they're speaking those words for themselves, not necessarily for you. And the more you keep that in mind, the less you will take it personally. I'm also being shown that even though these emotions can be overwhelming, you keep them very much to yourself. You keep them hidden, because that moon is right on the cusp of the 11th and 12th house. And the 12th house is, of course, the house of hidden things, the things that we keep to ourselves. The truth, to be honest with you, is that even though your rising sign is pretty much this is who I am, take it or leave it, you still hold back a lot of aspects of yourself because you feel in some way that they are not acceptable to society. You got to stop doing that and let it all out. Unleash your own individuality. Your own individuality is your trademark. It really is your trademark to the world. But there's been some difficulties in different aspects of your life that I'm not going to fully get into right now, that have a lot to do with how you handle that situation. Now, if you want to work through those things, of course, this is what I do, and I can definitely help you out with that. And I use the chart as a tool to do that for a lot of different things. But for the most part, I would say that you are who you are. And you're very family oriented. You love the people that you love. You may not trust easily other people or people when you meet them right away. Use your intuition. Your intuition is very strong. Your Neptune is retrograde in your chart, so that tells me that you're not just intuitive. You're very intuitive, but you gotta trust it. That's the biggest thing. And with your Neptune in Libra, that trust can go one way or the other. Sometimes it's really easy to trust, and sometimes it's not. And then don't worry about not being able to change things to suit other people, because the truth is your only goal is to change who you are to suit you or to be a better person than you were yesterday. Now, in some cases, those changes can be difficult too. When they're difficult, it's because there's something from the past that you're holding on to, and while you hold on to it, you really can't make that change. So I hope that works for you. Diana, is it Diana in Canada? The only Diana in Canada? Diane. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there while I get Donald's chart up.
Oh, Donald, look out. Does your astrology package go back that far?
Yes.
Oh yeah, right. It did. Oh yeah, right. It calculated stands.
I do need from you, Donald, really quick. I need your place of birth. If you could add that to the private chat there, where you were born.
Born in a manger. I'm just kidding.
But where?
The manger.
I need a city. Okay.
Born in the manger. I'm just kidding.
Okay, got it.
Like, the city would help, I guess.
Got it.
Awesome. I can hardly wait.
This is why you like to do this. You just want to know about everybody.
I'm all like, everything you said about Diane, from what I know about Diane, that sounded pretty accurate to me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the good thing is my memory is like shot. Like I cannot remember anything except for a while. I shouldn't say anything, but this stuff like this, I don't remember it.
I don't either. And actually, to be honest with you, people come up to me all the time and they go, "Oh my God, you remember when you told me when you did that reading? You told me," and I'm like, "No, I don't," because I'd be nuts if I remembered all the reading.
Not that you're not special, but seriously,
right.
I talk to, it's like,
I mean, some of them, spirit will recall it for me, but for the most part, no, I don't remember it. Okay, boom, we've got another double fire here with an Aries sun and a Sagittarius ascendant. Now, let me just say that there's one thing that I love about Aries men. They never fully grow up. They're always little boys in some way, forever. They always keep a hold of a little boy trait in some way. My brother and another Aries friend of mine, they're always just, they're just fun. I had a friend of mine who's an Aries, 30 years old. He jumped in my shopping cart at Walmart with his arms and legs flailing, yelling, buy me cookies, buy me this, buy me that. It's just that mentality, and it's actually a wonderful thing. It keeps you really fun. My great grandfather was also an Aries, and he's also a joker, always keeping things light, and fun all the time. even when things were serious, because that was his way of kind of sort of lightening the mood. And I definitely feel that around you for sure. With a Sagittarius rising on top of that, I would say that, again, you're also another person that has a tremendous amount of energy. You do not like to be sitting. And I get the phrase, I will sleep when I'm dead around you, because you don't necessarily want to just sit and rot in a bed or sit and rot in a chair and waste away. You've got to be doing something. Even if it's tinkering with something or fixing something, minor repairs, whatever, you're always kind of sort of just, bebopping around doing things. I want to, okay. I'm just going to throw this out there because this is what I'm getting, Donald. But if you have a wife, I'm going to say that you probably irritate her more than once, not because you're meaning to irritate her, just because, you are who you are and you're a jokester and you're out there and you're doing, and you might get under her feet and you just, you love to tease. And it's not that you're, absolutely pissing her off to the point where she's leaving you, but, I hear this, would you stop, in my head around this woman. So, and it is all in fun. She understands that it's all in fun, but sometimes it gets to be a little bit too much sometimes. Also, you do like to have fun. So, being outside, being outdoors, going out and doing things, fishing, things like that. Also, things with the kids. Being around kids keeps you young. And the more you're around kids, the more it keeps you young. You're not the type of person that when you're around kids, it wears you out. It actually more like lifts you up, because it's their youth. It's their, it's their way of looking at things that seems to be a rejuvenation for you more than anything else. In fact, sometimes when the kids aren't around, you miss them. If they're not there every single day, you miss them. If you go long periods of time without being around the kids, it's like, I need something to do kind of a thing. Where are the kids? I need to go find some kids kind of a thing to play with. You have also an Aquarius moon. So this would also explain to some extent, the joking kind of mentality, especially around heavy subjects, because that's your way of avoiding the emotional stuff. The way that it comes across to me is that life is about having fun. Life is about doing things that we love to do. It's not about getting stuck on emotional bullshit. And that's specifically what was given to me, was the term emotional bullshit. And your secret house, not that that's, really what we're focusing on today, is so insignificant that it shows me that you don't keep a lot of things necessarily buried inside of you. There's a couple of things, but not a whole lifetime of things. You basically let go of things. You don't hold on to things. You don't hold grudges for long periods of time. You are who you are, and take it or leave it. But for the most part, almost everybody just adores you when they meet you. Almost everybody has tons of fun when they meet you, and they want to come back and see you again. And as far as, stuff that's happened in the past is in the past. You leave it there. You leave it there in the past. I don't see a lot of it being something that is stopping you from doing what you want to do now, which is what happens when we hold on to things on a deep emotional level. But that Sagittarius rising and that Aries sun are very energetic signs, both of them being fire signs, but not just fire signs, both being the signs of the zodiac that represent fun, that represent being outgoing, that represent doing things and seeing things and taking life by the horns and making the most of it. And this is every single day. I get this I actually get this thing that I saw that a Sagittarian friend of mine had. It was an actual prayer that her mother printed out for her, and basically it was something along the lines of that she was praying to the Lord. No, I'm sorry. This thing that was written up said something along the lines of, every day when my feet hit the floor, may the devil be afraid of what I'm going to do today. And that is what I feel around you, because It's all about excitement. It's all about doing something. It's all about having fun. It's all about, joking. It's all about keeping things light. And all of it revolves around, just living life to the fullest. And I mean, you really do live life to the fullest. You want to go somewhere, you find a way to go. You want to do something, you find a way to get it done. You want to build something, and I see that your hands have built a lot of different things or put a lot of things together. You will still do that now to this day and continue to do it for lots of time to come. So you have a very interesting, very light, very beautiful, absolutely wonderful personality, Donald. And if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat room there. But you're definitely somebody that would just be absolutely fun to be around at all times.
Yeah, I could totally see. He's totally like that. He's totally like that. Always with them corny jokes, and you know what I mean. He's just totally like that little boy side of him. But he's also a grown man, and he takes care of business when he needs to.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you got anyone else lined up?
I do. I have Wildflower Wind next, and I'm trying to kind of sort of keep an eye on the time here. I've got 2 more.
Okay, perfect.
I'm sorry, 3 more.
Oh, that's good. That's
no, 2 more. Sorry. 2 more. And then Popeye, if I can get to that question, I will. If we can't, maybe we can talk about Saturn returns and the next show, because that's also something that's very interesting. So, yeah, we'll keep that in mind, Chris. Yeah, Saturn returns are very interesting. Interesting times.
I'm going to put it difficult. I'll actually write it on the calendar for next time. Saturn returns.
Okay, so yeah, I have 2 more. I've got Wildflower Wind next, and then Tanya is coming up after that. And then I think we should be good on time at that point. Or just about there.
Perfect.
It's amazing how fast 2 hours goes by when you're doing readings.
I know. We go in the time. Let's do time warp again.
Oh, God. Okay. So Wildflower Wind.
That's Sandy.
I have to say that slowly, because if I don't, it'll come out as my tongue doesn't want to go that fast. Okay. So we've got a completely different ascendant than we've had so far. That's awesome. Okay. Another Leo. We got another Leo in the house here. Of course, it is, again, like I said, the time for Leos. With a Capricorn rising. Now, actually, I think we had somebody flipped that earlier when we were doing a different chart where it was a Capricorn sun with a Leo rising or something like that. But in any case, a Capricorn rising, this is what people are going to see of you, Wildflower. What people are going to see or what people are going to know of you is organization. Is a very family-oriented individual. And Leo and Capricorn combined are both extremely family-oriented. Family comes first. Everything else comes second, with both signs. And when it comes to how they take care of the family, the Leo sun is all about making the most of the time together, having a good time with each other. That's what I was saying earlier on the show, that Leos can be kind of indulgent parents because, it's all about, having fun with their kids and enjoying their kids when they're kids. But because of the fact that they're enjoying so much, they can be a little bit too indulgent with kids. Capricorns are not necessarily as indulgent, but they are also in their own right. I have a Capricorn grandmother. She spoiled me rotten my whole life. She still does if she can to this day. And I'm almost 40 years old. She still will if it's in her power to do so. So there's definitely a lot of family orientation there. You're also very organized. Capricorns are very good with money. In fact, they're known for their ability to either make money or budget money, take care of money. So some Capricorns are not necessarily the greatest at budgeting money and saving money, but they're really good at making money or finding new ways to make money or interesting ways to make money. And you've also got a Scorpio moon on top of these things. Now, when it comes to this family orientation, and this is why we bring the moon into it, between Capricorn and Leo, what shows is somebody who literally puts themselves out there. The heart is on the line 24/7. When that backfires on you or when you get hurt, you are going to sting pretty quickly and pretty accurately and in an emotional lash out because of the pain that you've sustained. And Scorpio emotions are like that. They don't necessarily hold grudges, but when they're hurt, they hurt you back. It's as simple as that. And they do it instantaneous and then they move on from it. That's why they say in many ways that Scorpio is an evil sign, because they do retaliate. And that's the truth. They have that stinger in their tail, but that doesn't necessarily make them mean. It's just how they emotionally react to what's going on. Or anything emotional that's going on. Now, there's also, your rising sign is rather large, rather than something that's really small. It actually takes a lot of space. And so who you are and who you project out to the world or what you project out into the world, what people see of you is actually really important to you. You put a lot of energy into that. Not because you're trying to be, you're trying to show people somebody that you're not necessarily, but you want people to see what you want them to see and not necessarily the things that you don't want them to see. So it's a difference between somebody who leaves the house with perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect outfit on, but at home they got their hair up in a sloppy bun and they're wearing sweats and they don't have any makeup on and they look tired. I mean, you have a presentation and you want to have that presentation is really important to you. And you don't like to be caught off guard is actually, I guess I should say, the big thing. So anybody just coming and stopping by your house when it's not clean is just not something that's really going to work out too well for you, or you won't be very comfortable with that. You like to be prepared. And that is the Capricorn way, is all about being prepared. Now you've got, because it encompasses so much space, it also, there's also two other signs in that ascendant. You've got a lot of Aquarius in there and you've got a lot of Pisces. Because you encompass so many signs, you've got earth, air, and water there. So it shows somebody who's got a heart, it shows somebody who's very intelligent, and it shows somebody who knows what they're doing. When you bring that intelligence together and the creativity, and on top of that, the earth ability to actually take those things and make something out of them, I'm telling you, you can really go places with that. Because you're not just coming up with the ideas. You're not just, creating these ideas, but you're actually making them into something. Now, there's one thing, though, that I have to say in particular that's coming through to me. You've had this idea. You're not exactly sure how to do the whole process, but you know how to start the process. Start it. I'm being told to start it, and you don't need to know what the outcome is going to be. Just start it and let it take its course from there. That is one thing that is very difficult for Capricorn, because Capricorns need to know all the details from beginning to end and exactly how it's going to end up or what the ultimate outcome is. Life is not like that. So that's kind of a control issue that you want to give up a little bit and let the universe kind of do their thing, because, that's what the universe is for. We have a plan, we do the work, but the universe comes in and adds things to it. And we can't get in the way of that energy exchange there. Not a lot of retrograde planets in your chart. You got a couple of them. And they're not necessarily, well, I can't say they're not necessarily big ones. I mean, they're planets in your chart, so they are, but they're not in any of those major elements of your chart as far as the rising sign or anywhere near the sun or the moon. The biggest thing, though, with you is I want to say that you don't want to put more into everybody else than you put into yourself. The more you put into everybody else and the less you invest in you, the more disappointed you're going to be. And I do see this as a pattern throughout the course of your life of having this disappointment, because you're putting this out there with an expectation of what it's going to look like when it comes back, and that expectation always seems to fall short. Do what you're going to do without the expectation and invest the time into you. What happens is that you get more people investing that time back that you're putting out because there is no expectation. So I hope that makes sense. It's like expectation is a killer of what's actually going to happen. When I expect something to happen, I don't get it. Well, I'm totally sideswiped by it, and it's a surprise. Then it actually happens. So I try not to have the expectation as much as possible so I don't get let down in the process. Because the expectation is, after all, my own imagination coming up with it. So I hope that resonates, Wildflower. And if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in there in the chat room. And while you do that, I'm going to bring up Tanya's chart. I've never looked at Tanya's chart before. I already know she's a Libra, but I've never actually looked at your chart before. This is going to be fun, Tanya.
Very fun, Tanya.
I know Tanya.
You say Tanya or Tanya? Yeah, I know you know her because I check out new people that come here. I know.
Right?
You know
She's already checked you out.
I checked her out.
We know everything now. Or we will in about 2 seconds once I have this chart up. Okay, is that city that you were born in spelled correctly? Tanya, can you just take a look at that? Because it's not coming up on my list.
Yeah, Tanya.
Please. Aha, that's why.
Aroha.
That
How
one
a Chinese
comes up.
person says Aroha.
I know, that's what I thought too.
I couldn't help it. Aroha.
That's exactly what I thought too. It's fun stuff. Really
I think a Chinese
fun stuff.
person from Hawaii founded that city.
Right? That's awesome. Okay.
Arrow, of course. It would be said like that. Hey, Arrow. I'm so
right,
sure.
Right. Okay. So, Tanya, of course, we know that you have a Libra sun. You actually got a very interesting chart here because you don't have a ton of aspects as far as what the planets are doing with each other. You do have some, but not a lot of major ones, which is kind of a good thing and a not so good thing at the same time. You don't have any major ones that are really helpful, but you don't have very many major ones that are very challenging either, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a good balance there. Sun in Libra, rising in Leo, and your rising sign also takes up a lot of space on the chart. So it's obviously how people see you is very important to you. You also have Jupiter and you have Venus in the ascendant. Now, I'm going to say this without trying to sound rude, but another astrologer told me that whenever they see Jupiter in the rising sign, it indicates that the person is going to be a large person, as in a big person. The only proof that I have that backs that up is that my husband has Jupiter in the ascendant, and he's a very big guy. Not necessarily fat, he's just a very big boned person. But also it indicates somebody who has a very big personality. And Jupiter in Leo in the rising sign would indicate that when you come into the room, all eyes need to be on you. The attention is on you. This is me. I've got the personality that walks in and literally takes over the room, which for my husband would also be that way too. Not because he's demanding it, but because people are literally drawn to this energy. You've also got Venus in your rising sign, and Venus is in Virgo. And Virgo being the sign that when they fall in love, they become the dumbest people on the planet. Okay? Literally. So Venus in Virgo says that when you fall in love, love takes you away. That makes sense. And that has been something that has been a good thing and a not so good thing in your life. It can go either way. In some cases it has been a really good thing, and in other cases it hasn't. And I'm not just talking about falling in love with the person. I'm talking about falling in love with a place, or falling in love with a thing, or, it's all about, you show, when you love something, you show this. Oh my God, I love this. I absolutely love this blanket. It's my favorite blanket in the world. You'll talk about it for a long time. But it's also showing that as an individual and as a person, Jupiter and Venus, especially in conjunct with each other and bringing those two signs of Leo and Virgo together, is really showing a person who is extremely family-oriented, very detail-oriented, maybe a little bit nitpicky in some things, because Virgo can have that tendency to be a little bit nitpicky. But you wear your heart on your sleeve. You show your feelings to everybody. You're very creative. You love to grow and expand things. You love to move around. You don't like to be stuck in one place. Jupiter is always bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, sometimes it's a little greedy, but it depends on how you look at it. Obviously, if you're looking to keep it all because it's mine, 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 that's great. Because of its conjunction with Venus, I'm not seeing that. If you won the lottery, if you have something like that in New Zealand, you would give most of your money to everybody that you love. You wouldn't hold on to all of it for yourself. It's just not the kind of person that you are. You love to share, and you love to give, and you love to help other people. Now this Libra sun, with that, if you bring those two things together, I'm your friend, Tanya. Just letting you know that with the 10 million lotto, just in case when you win it. I just want you to know how long we've known each other. Hint, hint, hint. I'm just kidding. With your Libra sun to go along with that rising sign, it really shows a person who understands how to balance these things, to balance your time between yourself and everybody else. Now, again, Libras are also givers. They're the martyrs. Remember, we talked about that Libra martyrdom, right? Where you're selflessly giving everything that you've got and allowing everybody else to suck you dry. You want to avoid doing that as much as possible, and make sure to make that time for you, and be very selfish about it. We all deserve the right to be selfish about these types of things, because it's really important for us to do that. And you've also got a Scorpio moon, which also tells me what happens when somebody pisses you off or hurts yourself. You sting pretty quickly also. You got that stinger there. But also the moon is perfectly in conjunction with Mercury. So this tells me, and it's all in the house of the mind. It's how you think. So there's a lot of emotional thoughts going on in your mind. Tanya, maybe overly emotional thinking, to be honest with you. And sometimes that comes out in what you're saying, in the words that you speak. So if you're thinking on an emotional level, you're speaking in that same emotional level. Now, I do just have to tell you that this gets in the way of your Jupiter's need to expand and actually make things bigger or move forward or grow in certain ways. That emotional thought process and being stuck in that emotional thought process and being stuck because you're using the words of that emotional thought process keeps you in the same place. And so I'm seeing these patterns over your life where you're stuck here, stuck here, stuck here, stuck here. And it's what's going on in here that's keeping you in that spot. It's keeping you stuck. You want to work on changing how you think about things. And everybody always tells me the same thing. My brain just thinks the way that it thinks. That just is the way that it is. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you didn't own your brain, that you didn't have control over it, that you weren't the boss over your brain. If your brain thinks like that and you want it to change, it's very simple. You get on that emotional thinking pattern and you stop it. You say, I don't want to think about that, and make yourself think about something that's positive. And you keep doing it over and over and over and over again. I've been doing this for years. I still get into that emotional thought process problem, and, I'll let it go for a little while, but eventually I stop it and bring it back to, I don't want to think about that, because thinking in that way is not going to help you at all. So you do want to be aware of that. Also, you have very intuitive thoughts. I just want to throw that out there also with Neptune in Scorpio in that same sign. Neptune in Scorpio, we're talking about a highly gifted person, always. And so and you get a lot of very intuitive thoughts, whether it's telepathy, whether it's mediumship, and you're getting messages through those thoughts. You do want to be aware of that and don't hold it back so much. You've had a lot of thoughts and had a lot of sort of scenes that have taken place that you didn't say anything, and then you saw it come true and you kind of wished you had said something. So stop holding it back and just throw it out there, Tanya. There's no reason to hold it back. To wrap it all up here really for you, Tanya, I have to say that when it comes to your rising sign, you still have some work to do. And I'm not saying because you haven't done your work that's why you still have work to do. I'm saying that you still have work to do because Jupiter never stops working. It's constantly moving forward. It's constantly, constantly wanting to grow bigger and better. And you feel that in your heart. It's pulling you to grow bigger and better. But those thoughts are what's keeping you anchored there. So you got to kind of sort of bring yourself in. Work on how you think about things. Do some work with affirmations and positive thinking, or positive thinking exercises in order to help you expand on your self level, because that's what your rising sign is. So I hope that makes sense, Tanya. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And yes, if you do, I actually do have time for one more. If we want
hurry it
to.
up there, Mary Margaret or whoever. By the way, you might want to. You had your friend Nosy Rosie. Nosy Rosie. Do you know someone called Nosy Rosie?
Yes, I do. Yes, Rosie is awesome.
So she came in and didn't click the speaker, and then she went and posted on your Facebook that she tried to get in but couldn't hear anything. So I tried to respond to her, but she might have given up. So maybe I'll have to do a little, like that seems to be, like what, if you're not from North America, you just ignore the little pop-up sign that says select one of these options.
One of the things that I've noticed is that this is very different from anything that anybody's ever been in before, and because of that, most people aren't like my husband, who will sit down, take the time to figure out how to use it. So
they probably just closed that pop-up window, but the pop-up window is, if you read it, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that they just probably closed the pop-up window without really looking at it, and then that's probably what happened. So did Mary Margaret write you?
She did, and I'm going to get her chart up here in just a minute. But Tanya, as far as your questions about health, my first question for you is, did you ever go to the doctor and find out what it was? Because I know that I think we had maybe discussed a little bit of this towards the beginning of the year. So I'm going to give you a second to answer that while I bring up this next chart here real quick. And because that's the first thing that's coming to me is to go in and see a specialist, and not just a doctor, but a specialist. It's something that has to do with a specialist, not just your regular family practitioner. First and foremost, not also seeing anything that's terribly wrong or terribly bad or anything like that, but it is something that you want to be aware of so that you can work with it, whether it's changes in your diet or, different things like that. We eat so many horrible things and processed foods and GMOs and all this stuff that, it causes all kinds of different issues for us. And here it is right here. Okay, see a different one, Tanya. I'm going to let it go at that. See a different one. And let me just tell you real quick that I had this same problem. It was a gluten intolerance 4 years ago that I did manage to get over. But when I went to the doctor and I was losing weight drastically, I saw 3 different women in one day, and every single one of those bitches had the same response. Aw, you're losing weight and you don't have that. Must be terrible. And I was literally skin and bones at this point. If I'd lost any more weight, I'd have blown away. So, unfortunately, you deal with this. If that doctor's not going to help you, go to another one and keep going to one that's actually going to run the test to find out what's going on with you. But a lot of digestive things are going around too. It's kind of crazy. Okay, Mary Margaret, I have your chart up here right now, and we are looking at an Aquarius rising. I love it, an Aquarius rising. We got a Taurus sun, Taurus moon, Aquarius rising. Now, when you're talking about air and earth, they're very similar to each other. Air signs are highly intellectual, and Aquarians themselves are very brilliant. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Aquarian. That is part of the Aquarius traits is brilliance. They come up with fantastic ideas. The problem is that once you get past those, once you get to those ideas, there's really not a whole lot to back that up. It's like, boom, I got this idea, but I don't actually want to do anything about it. I don't actually want to create it. The Taurus sun and moon comes in to help you with that, so that not only do you have some really brilliant ideas, but you have the oomph to actually, and the brains to actually put those ideas into something. Because Taurus is an earth element sign, they're very much doers, not thinking about doing it. They actually want to go and get it done. And most earth signs they want to get it done now. They don't want to put it off until tomorrow. I've got the idea, I'm going to get up and take care of it right now, kind of a thing. Another thing about your rising sign is that Jupiter is right on the cusp of your rising sign in your 12th house, so the 12th and the 1st house. Jupiter, again, we're talking about expansion and we're talking about growth, and Aquarians are always into growth. So with an Aquarius rising that's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter ruling your ascendant, again, you're always expanding. You're always looking for something new. You're always looking for growth. You're always looking for an improvement, whether it's an improvement in your life or an improvement in somebody else's life or an improvement overall in general. I'm even going so far as to, you've got it figured out how to improve the world. It's just getting everybody in line to do what you say, if that makes sense, because it's also the Aquarian mentality. Aquarians are like, here I am on my soapbox, I'm making this pronouncement, why aren't you guys doing it yet, kind of a thing. So I do see a little bit of that. And of course, Taurus is similar in that way too. With your sun, moon, and ascendant all in fixed signs, we're talking about growth and expansion. But any kind of sudden change is not something that's going to be comfortable for you. You need to get used to change, and you need time to get used to change. You need time to organize for that change and get prepared for that change. But if somebody comes in and says, hey, you got to be out of the house tomorrow, move all your shit out today, that's a panic for you. It would be very difficult for you to handle that kind of stress, because that kind of changes, drastic changes like that. I would say that your stubbornness really comes out, and any Taurus has got a certain amount of stubbornness, and hell, any Aquarius does for that matter. You don't like to be told what to do. You don't like to be told how to do it either. It's best if people just leave you alone to do what it is that you need to do, unless you specifically ask for help. But you don't like people kind of sort of coming in and giving their advice without being asked for that advice first. Not that you don't value other people's advice. It's more like I'm being shown somebody who's constantly isn't doing anything. They're just sort of throwing their 2 cents into everything that you're doing, which is really kind of frustrating for you. I mean, I'm seeing you wanting to turn around and go, would you just shut up already? I don't want to hear it anymore. Let me do what I'm doing, kind of a thing. And one thing also with that Taurus moon is earth signs. Well, let's just say with Tauruses specifically, Tauruses hold things very deeply, and they hold on to things forever. So, something that happened in childhood you're still holding on to it now. I mean, a lot of Tauruses will do that. When it comes down to it, Tauruses, they hold on to those things because it's like trophies to them. These are my little trophies, even though they're not good trophies and they're not doing you any good. It's almost like you're holding on to it so that you don't forget, so that you don't do it yourself. The truth is, and that's a justification. That's not really why you're holding on to it. That's just a justification. The truth is you're holding on to it because it's more a fear of letting it go, that it's going to change you into somebody you don't want to be. And the truth is, if you let it go, it's going to change you exactly into the person that you do want to be. And each little thing that you do let go, and I have seen that you've done a lot of that work already, each little thing that you let go makes everything around you an improvement. It makes things a lot easier. It makes your ideas bigger. It makes your will to and your drive to put those ideas into something that's physical a lot stronger. And the truth is that when you get your sights on something, there's nothing on the planet that's going to take your focus away from that. You are driven to it until you have it done. And even then, you're still driven to it until it's completely done. And you can let it go and let it be what it is on its own. And the final thing that's really coming up around you, you were born on a new moon. And so what I get from that in a lot of ways is the fact that you've had to deal with a lot of new experiences. So a lot of situations where you've had to start over in certain situations, or, even though fixed signs don't care for change, you've dealt with a lot of new situations, moving to a new place, having to start all over in a lot of different areas of your life. So it's not just relationship wise, many different areas of your life have seen this newness, but you handle it very well, actually, I should say a lot better than most fixed signs do. Because usually they deal with new situations, dragging, kicking, and screaming the whole way. I see that to a certain extent, but not as much as, say, with you as, say, other fixed signs can be. And definitely not as much as I do. I mean, I'm going kicking and screaming the whole way. If I have to go, I'm going to do it loud. That's all there is to it. I see that here and there, but for the most part, you like new things. It's exciting to do new things. You like to be outside. You like to be out in nature. You love to be around animals. You love to be around children. You love to be around people. Taurus is a very social sign, and you've got Venus in Taurus also, which is the ruling planet of Taurus. So, you are absolutely the happiest person on the planet when you're surrounded by family, but you're also that person that when somebody has something, they have a problem, you're the person that they come to. Because the Aquarian is the humanitarian. We're there for the people. We're there to help the people. That's our job. And having an Aquarian rising sign means that people know that you're the person that has the ideas. That when they have a problem and they tell you the problem, you're going to come up with the solution, and it's very quick. Now, sometimes they don't listen. That's on them. But at the same time, I will say that you don't mind saying "I told you so" every now and then, and that's what you do.
That's true.
That is also an Aquarian trait.
You've been talking to my husband.
Yeah.
No, I have not talked to your husband at all. I do have to say, though, that I have a full-on dance. There's a song and dance for "I Told You So." It's an "I Told You So" song and dance. So when I say something to somebody who would normally not listen to me because I'm just, and to the rest of the world, I'm the heavy metal psychic. To my family, I'm just mom. I'm just the wife. I'm just whoever I am, sitting over there babbling in the corner talking about God knows what, because we're not paying attention. But when I want this person to really listen to what I'm saying and the intuitive whatever it is that I'm getting, I will say, if I'm right, I am doing the dance. Do you understand? So think about it. Just think about it. And that usually gets their attention. So I hope that resonates with you, Mary Margaret.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit. Thanks,
Awesome.
Melissa. Thanks,
You're welcome.
So you guys, don't forget you can catch Melissa on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern at paramediaradio.com, the Heavy Metal Psychic.
That's
and
right.
You can find her at the heavymetalpsychic.com and facebook.com/Heavy Metal Psychic. So, that was fun.
It was fun, yes. I
Great
agree.
job. Couple of your friends dropped by, and that's nice. We love to get new listeners, and we usually get a couple that come in new whenever you're kicking around. So that's always great.
That's always fun.
For sure. So so I wrote it down in my calendar on my website calendar. Show topic Saturn returns. So when I look at that and set it up, I'll probably make mention of it in the show description or whatever, and so we'll remember. And
the Saturn return itself is not something that's going to take up 2 hours, but what we can do is focus on Saturn. So we can do the same thing we're doing today, but look up Saturn in the chart. What does Saturn have to say about you in terms of how you deal with responsibility? And then we'll do the Saturn returns too.
As you do these for my listeners, some of my regulars, you'll already have them in your database, right?
Well, I don't save them all.
Gotcha.
As we're doing them on the show, I'm not saving them. I only actually save them if I'm going to refer back to them, which now that we're doing this, I am. But really, I only save them when I do a written interpretation.
Gotcha. Okay, well, hey, don't forget to hit me up if you want me to run you a numerology report for yourself. I'd be happy to do that for you. You've done a lot for me, so if you've never had a full numerology
I haven't.
Yeah, so
if you want a guinea pig, I am so ready.
Yeah, no, send me your. I found today, I ran one for Kathleen Moore, and I'm a little ticked off now. They have recently updated their thing, you know what I mean? But man, there was just so many typos and grammar things and formatting problems with it. It took me forever just to try and fix some of that, and so I wrote to them and said, do you want me to keep track of these and you can fix them or what,
Right.
So yeah, send me your full first, middle, and last name as it showed up on your birth certificate.
Okay.
And
I'm going to do it right now because if I don't, I'm going to forget.
Your date of birth.
Okay.
And also what you go by if you're introducing yourself right now, like to somebody, so minus your middle name. Do you say Melissa Bruce or what? So then include that as well. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. I'll send it to you as a Word document in Skype then when I'm done it. And then I'd like your feedback, like your legitimate feedback, not to the. I hate how it's laid out and that, but to the content, I'd like your feedback. And I don't want it fluffed up. I want, your sincere feedback. It'll include about a year's worth of month-by-month forecast and even a day-by-day forecast for the whole next year.
Oh, that's cool.
And
that's really cool. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll get that off to you sometime after the show tonight, okay?
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. So we'll see you next
Chris.
time. And keep well, okay?
You too. Bye, guys.
So take care.
Have a good one.
Don't forget your great-grandma's shoe size.
Oh, darn it, I don't have it anymore.
My great-grandmother didn't have feet because they froze off because she had to walk to school both ways in blizzards uphill.
In the snow.
Without shoes.
Yes.
Without shoes. So she got frostbite and they amputated her feet. So there, Popeye. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Popeye. Okay. All right. So, thank you. And now we're going to kick into overtime, you guys.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy. Thanks, Melissa. So I'm going to stop recording. Thanks to the archive listeners, and we'll see you next time.